Hello everyone, this is a quick tutorial on how to process your graveyard demographics data. Here my data set includes data from two categories. I left the third one blank just to make this demonstration a little bit quicker. So the very first thing when you get your data is to name all of your ranges within these age columns here. So in total you can have up to really 6 different ranges that you've named. So that's the very first thing you want to do. So you want to start way at the top here, make sure that you're at the top of your data, and you want to left click and of course drag all the way down, including any of these blank spots here. And the reason why you want to include some blank spots in this range is just in case you wanted to add more data, and all of your graphs and other things will update dynamically just so long as you capture your entire column here. Notice that I've gone ahead and already renamed this column or this range as indicated up here in the name box. I've named it MBI underscore 1860. It's just a shorthand for men before and including 1860. So you want to make sure that you rename all of your ranges here. You want to do the same thing for the women before and including 1860, and the same thing for men and women born after 1860 up to 1920, and men and women 1918 to 1919. So it's the age columns that you are highlighting and renaming. So you know how to rename ranges now. So let's see how we're actually going to process these data. So what you want to do after you have renamed your ranges, create a new worksheet. So insert new worksheet. Now I've already done that, and I've just called it counts here. And what you want to do is you want to make separate tables for each one of your demographic categories. And for each table, you want to construct your age classes accordingly. So your age class of course will run from 0 to 9 and 10 to 19. So notice that these are separate columns, separate cells, and you want to arrange them thusly. So from 0 to 9 all the way up to 100 and 109. Yes, there are some people actually that old in the graveyard. Not many, but there are some. So your third column will actually be the Q sub X value, which is the number that have died within a particular age class. Now, could we go ahead and go back to our graveyard data and sort these columns and then do our counts? Physically, just kind of going 1, 2, 3 and just counting down the down the rows, or print out the pages and figure out how many have died within a particular age class. So yeah, you could do it manually, but let's do it in Excel the quick way. And we're going to actually use a different kind of formula. It's called an array formula. And the syntax is going to look like this. The only difference between an array formula and a standard formula in Excel is that notice that it has these braces that enclose the entire formula, seen in red here. Now you want to use an array formula if you have, say for instance, some conditional statement like if that is nested within another function that, say, is not a conditional statement like count. So what this little formula is going to do is actually count the number of people that have died within a particular age class, so that it has a lower bound and an upper bound. So if we go and see what the syntax looks like here, here we have the men before and including 1860. So what we're doing is we are counting within that range, MBI 1860, all of our data points that happen to be greater than or equal to A3. And A3 happens to be 0, right, in this case. But we are also putting in another if. So we're putting in another conditional statement so that it counts all of the data points that are less than and including B3, which happens to be 9. So we are constraining the counts to some upper and lower boundary. And then you just add 0 at the end, which is just a default thing that is common to put in these if statements. Really, you're telling Excel that if you cannot find anything within this range, just insert a 0, which means that you can't really find anybody within that age class that has died. So then just insert 0. And of course enter the appropriate number of parentheses, and make sure that your formula is enclosed completely by 2 braces. Now there's a couple of ways to do that. You can actually put the braces in manually as you're typing in the formula and then press enter, or you can leave the braces off and then press Control, Shift, and Enter all simultaneously as you press enter, and those braces will magically appear in your formula. So let's see how this is done here. So if we go here we've got our count formula, counting all of our men before and including 1860, and constraining the boundary here to 0 and 9. And notice that it has returned none in that age class. So what I went ahead and did is I copied this formula that exists in this cell here and just pasted it all the way down the column. And what will happen is, since there are relative cell references, it will just keep referencing these boundary points here and return the counts. You want to do the same thing for all of your other demographic categories. And for my women, the formula is really the same. So what you can actually do is you can actually copy the formula from here and paste it into your women category, but of course change your count range. Of course, is not going to be men before and including 1860. It will be women before and including 1860. So you just have to make that change and then copy and paste, and then you are all set for that particular demographic category. And that's how you want to do all of your counts. And once you have done that, you have life tables that are all ready to go in this sheet, so you don't have to construct the life tables from scratch. So when you get the brand new life table, what you want to put up in here in the green, total in cohort, is you want to actually count how many exist within that cohort. In this case, it's going to be men before and including 1860. So what I'll do is I'll actually put up here, men before including 1860. So that's my life table for those guys. So you want to put a count up here, because what this life table will do is it will use that cell as a reference for the rest of the calculation. So that's a very important step, to make sure that in your green boxes here you want to count how many there are in the cohort by putting in the count formula. So count MBI underscore 1860 for my men, count of, this is going to be for my women now, so women before including 1860. So in this green box here, I'm going to put in my count WBI, or women before and including underscore 1860. Now again, you can name those ranges anything you want. I just happen to name them MBI, WBI, and so on. So it's very important that you fill in those green boxes with the appropriate counts, counting formulas. So if you go back to your tables that you've made here in another worksheet, so say I'm ready to insert now my men data here before and including 1860. So I'm just going to copy this whole range here, go back to my life table, and it's within these gray boxes is to where I'm going to put the number that are dead within a particular category. So I'm going to right click and paste special, just the values. I don't want any formulas in those gray boxes. So just the values, and notice how the table just updates automatically, and you have all of your life table statistics right in front of you. Now we went over what all of these parameters mean in lab, so I'm not going to do it here, but I will get into how to generate the graphs. So to generate a graph, you're going to highlight your age class column thusly, and then while holding the control key, you're going to also highlight the absolute value of the natural log here of the probability of surviving the interval, or I should say the age class, so you have both of those columns highlighted. And the kind of graph you want, you go to Insert, you want to scatter with smooth lines, no data points. So you insert that, and then just kind of tuck it over here next to your life table. You can cover up this total and cohort stuff because you don't really need that for printing this out. So get rid of the grid lines. Do the usual cleaning up. You could get rid of that legend also. It's not necessary. One critical thing you do want to do is go to your y-axis, right-click, and you get your options.